Commissioner Randall, again, would you do the invocation, please? You're muted, but I saw you kind of nodding. Okay. Very good. Thank you. All right. It is now 6 p.m. So I'm going to thank you folks for tuning in to tonight's regularly scheduled City of Aztec City Commission meeting, May 26, 2020 at 6 o'clock. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Again, Commissioner Randall has been kind enough to agree to do the invocation. And I guess we'll go ahead and I'll lead us through the pledges if you don't mind. So with that, Commissioner, please take it away.
All right, please pray with me. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful day you've given us and all of the many blessings we enjoy in the fine town in our country. Pray you continue to look over those that are being affected by the COVID-19 crisis we're in and be with them and their families and comfort them. Continue to rain blessings down upon our city and be with us as we make decisions on behalf of the City of Aztec. Continue to bless us and be with us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico
And the Zia symbol of her friendship among united cultures.
All right, thank you. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Here.
Commissioner Padilla,
Here.
Commissioner Randall,
Here.
Commissioner Lewis,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. We are at item 5, approval of agenda items. If there are any items on tonight's agenda that do not meet the approval of any commissioners, now is the time to pull those items.
Mayor, I believe, like you said, we will be pulling item G.
Correct. So, okay. Other than item G, does anybody need to pull anything? Hearing none, entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda with the exception of item G.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve this evening's agenda as given with the exception of business item G.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next is our consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda will be voted upon with one motion. If any item proposed does not meet the approval of all commissioners, a commissioner may request that the item be heard under items from consent agenda.
I have a correction.
Yes, sir, Commissioner.
On my report, I asked, my question was how many kids from my area got picked, and it was from any military academy, not just the Naval Academy. And I want the minutes to reflect that. And that's it.
Okay. Okay. Is that, so that wasn't really anything that was pulled?
No, that was on my report.
So we can go, okay, so Carla, we can go ahead and make those corrections to the minutes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Commissioner Padilla. Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as given.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve tonight's consent agenda as given with the above mentioned correction to the minutes.
I'll second.
I second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carla, I just want to double check. Do we have any citizens input this evening?
We did not have any.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. We are moving right along. Business items, business item A, final adoption of ordinance 2020-502, amending the municipal code of Aztec, New Mexico, chapter 4, alcoholic beverages.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and Commission, that involves the Sunday alcohol sales that was recently, or back in March, voted on by the citizens of Aztec, which they approved the Sunday alcohol sales. This amends Chapter 4 to relate directly to State Statute Chapter 60. And in that, we will have a link within our statute that refers directly to Chapter 60. Any future amendments or changes by the state legislature would automatically be incorporated into our code as well. At this time, there has been no comments received regarding this ordinance after the intent to adopt was approved April 28th of 2020.
Okay, go ahead and open it up for any questions or discussion on business item A.
Mayor, what is the date that Sunday sales begins?
It will begin, excuse me, Mayor, for jumping in there, 30 days after the final adoption, which could be tonight.
Okay.
I'm glad you said that. I just assumed July 1st, so it's off a little bit. So, okay.
So as soon as we get all this clear, it'll be 30 days.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the question, and thank you for the answer, Mr. Mueller. Does anybody have any questions or comments on business item A?
No.
None. We'll close discussion and entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the final adoption of ordinance 2020-502, amending the municipal code of Aztec, New Mexico, chapter 4, alcoholic beverages.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Next up is item B, final adoption of ordinance 2020-503, amending the municipal code of Aztec, New Mexico, chapter 1, section 12-2-2, alcohol, in reference to chapter 4.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and Commission. This involved, once again, Chapter 4 and amending the fine schedule within Section 1-12 for Chapter 4, which was updated. And to date, in reference to this, there have been no comments received regarding this ordinance after the intent to adopt was approved April 28, 2020.
Thank you, sir. Open up for discussion, questions, comments on item B? What do I think?
Nope.
I'm looking, I'm not seeing any. Mayor Pro Tem, were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. I'm not seeing any body language or anything as I scan the screens. So with that said, I'll close to discussion for item B and entertain a motion for business item B.
This was Sunday.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve final adoption of ordinance 2020-503, amending the municipal code of Aztec, New Mexico, chapter 1, section 2-2-2, alcohol, in reference to chapter 4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. Thank you. Business item C. Ordinance 2020-504, amending the municipal code of Aztec, New Mexico, chapter 16 to establish article 12, fee schedule for liquor license fees.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Commission. This refers to the fees in chapter 16, which the city collects for the appropriate liquor license and the fees associated for each category. To date, there have been no comments received regarding this ordinance after the intent to adopt was approved April 28, 2020.
Okay, thank you, sir. Once again, I will open up for any comments or questions or discussion on business item C. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for business item C.
Mayor, I move to approve final adoption of ordinance 2020-504, amending chapter 16 of the Aztec Municipal Code to establish Article 12 liquor license.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. Item D, intent to adopt ordinance 2020-05, amending chapter 19, public library.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Commission. This is in reference to amending the chapter 19, which refers to the public library. And after a recent review by our library director, she wanted to make the changes that are mentioned in here. And she's available for questions if there are any on the amendment or the recommendations for change that she's made. And I can answer any questions you might have as well. But once again, it was just after a review of chapter 19, she thought these changes needed to be made to update the current ordinance.
Yeah, I was just looking through there and it looked like some things that maybe were obsolete or need cleaned up, from what I could see. I don't have any questions personally, but we'll go ahead and open up for any questions regarding item D. Or discussion.
I thought it looked pretty good, actually. I read through it this afternoon.
Yeah. Hearing no other comments or questions or discussions on item D, I would entertain a motion for said item.
Mayor, I move to approve the intent to adopt ordinance 2020-505, amending chapter 19, public library.
Second.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Again, down to item E, intent to adopt ordinance 2020-506, amending chapter 16 fee schedule.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Commission, this, the fee schedule for the library was looked at as well by the current director, and she put the recommended changes in the chapter 16 fee schedule for change, and that's what this intent to adopt ordinance is referring to. Once again, she's available for questions. I will stand for questions as well if there are any.
Okay. Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll open that item up for conversation, discussion, questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
I just wanted to say after reading through it, I think the changes that they proposed really streamline things a lot and make them a lot clearer. I really like the changes they proposed in this particular item.
Good. Yeah, I agree. It looks like she has been taking advantage of some time she's had to kind of dig into a few things, and maybe with the pace a little bit slower, she's been able to kind of, like I said, dig into some of these things and get them cleaned up and, do a little bit of housekeeping. So it looks great, and well done to Library Director Watkins. So anybody have any further Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for item E.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the intent to adopt ordinance 2020-506, amending chapter 16 fee schedule.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Carla, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Item F, consider FY21 funding memorandum of understanding for Aztec School District, the school resource officer, district, and high school.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor Commission. We also have Mr. Carpenter with us from the school district tonight as well. And what this is, we have two SOR agreements in place currently that both expire July 31st of 2022. They are to be reviewed annually by June 15th, which is what we're doing now. And what I wanted to do is just bring this to commission for discussion. In the current budget situation that we find ourselves, not only us, but the schools, this current pandemic has put all of us in a situation. The way the SROs work, and Chief is available for comment as well, we don't have one specific officer assigned to the high school or district-wide. It's a team effort to where a number of officers are in the schools acting as SROs at any time. They are funded, or they are brought to work on overtime. So if we have an officer that has a normal shift to cover the SRO position at the school or district-wide or at the high school any given time, they are paid at an overtime rate. Currently, the schools split that with the city 50-50. So a couple of options are laid out for us today. We can continue as is with the agreement into next year. We could terminate the agreement and place the burden on the schools for the entire cost. We could come up with a different formula for, what the cost for each party looks like. So at this point, I'll open it up to questions, discussion, or however you guys want to proceed as commission. Like I say, Chief's available. Mr. Carpenter's available, and I'm available to answer any questions or entertain any discussion on any of those options.
Thank you, sir. And welcome, Superintendent Carpenter. I just want to, and I'm pretty sure, I know the answer to this question. I'm just doing it mainly for anybody in attendance and anybody that might be logged on. It is budgeted currently, correct? It's
Yes, sir,
already
it is.
budget for this next year.
Yes, sir, it
So,
is.
And I know, as we all know, that budgets are getting even more scrutiny than they have in the past. But some of these things I think they're necessary expenses, and I wish in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about this kind of stuff, but we obviously don't live in a perfect world. And I think it's important that if we have the resources to help, that we should try and do our best to help, in any capacity possible. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't think I'm alone here, but I just wanted to kind of throw that out there for the folks that are in attendance this evening. Chief, I see you raising your hand.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, thank you. I would like to just throw out a couple of things. We don't want to leave the SRO program. We think it's an extremely important program. The officers of the Aztec Police Department, we take great pride in the service that we're able to give in the School Resource Officer Program. We have it funded and manned 100% of the time in both areas. And it gives the officers, the way we are doing it, a chance to get to know who is there. They get to know the students at the school, and it also helps them when they get out on the road, because when they come up and meet one of the students, there's a lot more professionalism in the student and the officers, because they know them from another setting. So it's just absolutely critical we keep it going. We know there's a lot of costs involved, and that's the reason Steve and I talked to some of them. We pay all of the costs for the officers except just half of the overtime. I know there's other agencies that pay things, but we pay the training, insurance, holiday, vehicle, uniform, all those kind of things. But we still believe, with what's going on, that it's an extremely important program. To lose it, in my mind, would be just devastating to me, and I that could happen if there's anything we can do to make sure we maintain keep it. So I just wanted you to know, I believe there's benefit. I know that times are hard and budgets are extremely difficult. And if maybe we can start working in a direction to look at things a little different, I would support that completely. So how do we get there? And that's kind of what we want to talk a little bit about. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Carpenter, are you holding your glasses, or are you raising your hand kind of thing to get?
No, I'm holding my glasses. I think
Okay,
if I can, I would echo. I mean, you know, it's I think with the expenses, we understand what the city does. We've never, I think, ever taken any of that for granted. We appreciate, and I would echo. I think that what we don't realize are the unintended benefits that we get, and just even watching the relationships that are built between the officers and the students. You know, you can go up there and see the interactions that, whether they should happen or not happen, with even some of the officers sometimes participating with the kids in a little pickup game of basketball sometimes, or shooting a game of horse. I mean, it happens from time to time. They're still doing their job, but I mean, that kind of relationship, that pays dividends. And I think from the standpoint of stopping things from happening, and I know I'm not getting anybody in trouble, because those are the kinds of relationships we want our SROs to have, and we appreciate the relationship that's developed between our school district and the city. And I also want to, at the same time, that we understand what you guys are going through with the budget. So whatever we can do to preserve this and keep it going, it's for obvious reasons, not because of any incident that's happened, but we've had this relationship prior to that, and so we want to do everything we can to keep this going, and you know, we will do whatever we need to make sure we keep the level of benefit going, because it's a benefit. It's not just a protection. Obviously, there is a protection there. There is a deterrent there, but it's that benefit to our students and the relationship that we really look at more than we do the other side of it. If we ever need it, it's there, but it's the benefit of a relationship that we have always looked at first and foremost, ever before anything happened, because we had it there. So we just want to say we appreciate it, and we understand what you guys are going through. We're going through the same thing, but that won't be one of the first things. It'll be one of the last things we ever look at cutting, because we understand the importance of what that service does for our kids and the community, and the schools being the center of our community. We're just in that day and time. Can't do without that service and that benefit. So we just, that's all I'll add, that we appreciate and understand what you guys are going through.
Yeah, if I could just add, you know, as a teacher at the high school, you know, I see different officers there on occasion. They're mostly down on the main campus, but I see them kind of over by the crosswalk quite often. And I think it's important, and you don't really think about that on a day-to-day basis, but the relationship that our officers in Aztec, you know, the beauty of a small town community kind of thing is that they know these kids. So one, you know, there's that human connection instead of just, oh, the cop kind of thing. And I don't know, when you get to know somebody a little bit better, you're a little bit less likely to do something, you know, bad. You kind of feel a little obligated to kind of act right. And, you know, you have a little bit of conversation with, you know, Officer Atencio, for example. You know, I see him from time to time, and he's younger and he relates to some of the kids. And I think it's a good thing. The kids get older, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we don't. I mean, I'm not saying we don't ever have crime in Aztec, but we're not busting from the seams here. We're not having a lot of issues that maybe other towns have, and you can't discount, you know, the benefit of this type of program. So you know, I think it's those are all good points from the superintendent, from the chief, and just anybody else. Would anybody else like to add to that?
I just have a couple of questions. If I may, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, what did you say?
I have a couple questions and maybe comments that I'd like to make.
Yes, sir.
Okay. One, Mr. Carpenter, you guys haven't worked your budget yet either. So do you foresee a problem that it won't be funded through the district?
Commissioners, no, we're gonna put it in the budget. Obviously, you know, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens in the special session, but that's not something that we've even entertained as anything that would be cut. Honestly, that's not even come up for discussion because it's just too important for us. To be honest with you, even security guards and those types of things are not anything that we're even having any discussion about. We will do other things and have already done other things. Safety, as we know, is not anything we're going to turn away from. We can't and wouldn't. We never have. So it's not anything that's going to be discussed. And as long as I'm superintendent, it won't be discussed because it's too important just because of where we are and honestly where we've been. But irregardless of that before, and I know Chief can attest to this, it's always been that way in our district. It's been that way since I've been superintendent and even before. So it's nothing that's been even discussed. It won't be. This type of position in many respects is as important as many other positions, and we would look at other cuts, and I would say this even publicly, to where other than the teaching position, this type of position is very important, just as important as many others, because of the nature of what it serves, and I think of the nature of what it does for our district as far as where we are in society, the proactive things it can do, the things it can do, does a lot for us. Even, you know, these guys also go into classrooms and do things as well. So it serves a teaching part of that as well. So, and that's a long-winded answer, but I want you to know that with safety in mind and what we're trying to provide for parents, that being the number one thing they want, the security guards position, these are things that we do everything we can to preserve, and we find other ways to make cuts and budgets to preserve these kind of positions.
Well, that's great. I appreciate the answer. And I guess the only reason I brought it up is looking what's happening throughout the state and what other people are doing with the budget. I feel really, really confident that in the city of Aztec, between this commission and the district, that this is probably one of the most important programs that we have. And just want everybody to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I know it's in our budget. And I feel better knowing what Kurt just said, that it's in their budget, there's no cut there. So I'm really, really confident and excited about doing this.
Oops, sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Commissioner. Is there anybody else that had like to add to to the discussion?
Mayor, I would just say, I mean, if anything, you need to, at least in my mind, I would like to see us proceed at what we've been doing. I only wish we could do more, but definitely don't want to see any cutbacks.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think we're all
Agreed.
in pretty much unanimous agreement on that one.
We've got to do it. It's just important.
All right, I will go ahead and close the item to discussion and entertain a motion for item F.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we consider fiscal year 21 funding of the MOU for Aztec School District, School Research Officers District, and High School.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Carly, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye?
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. We are now at Commissioner, City Manager, and Department Head reports. Mr. Mueller?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission. Just a quick report where, as we move into the summer, snowpack's melting, so we're monitoring the drought conditions that we're currently in. We still are in drought conditions up here in the Four Corners. We currently remain at stage 1, which is all voluntary compliance. And if we see a need to move into stage 2, we'll let everybody know and take the appropriate steps to move into stage 2. When it comes to the budget workshop that was scheduled earlier tonight, we will have that rescheduled for Monday at 5:15. And once that's completed, we'll have a special meeting right after to make the necessary, or take the necessary action to approve the preliminary budget. And that is required to be submitted by June 1st, which puts us on June 1st, and we'll have enough time to get the submittal done. Thank you for the time, and that's all I have now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gobble?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to report this week.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Padilla? Excuse me.
Just a couple things. I attended the EDAB board meeting the other day, and so everybody knows that none of the officers on that board, there was no change. It was a very informational meeting. Another thing that I was excited to hear that the old barbecue building on Ash Street is going to be occupied. The USDA has signed a long-term lease, and they're going to redo that building. So there'll be another nice building that will be occupied. So I was excited to hear that. And that's all I have.
Commissioner Lewis?
I don't have a report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Randall?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just wanted to say a couple things. One note, since we passed the fireworks and fire restrictions, if we can just make sure we have something on the homepage that shows what is and what isn't allowed very clearly. Because I kind of flipped into the code today just to kind of check my own, and because it says on there no open fires even on private property per the code, which would be like a fire pit. But it does say if you have a stationary masonry or metal structure like a fireplace, which you have on your porch or something, that would be okay. But I don't want there to be any question on, oh, I didn't know this wasn't allowed, or I did. It's a pain. I mean, I know how to look for the code on the website, but some people may not. So if we can just have a link or something on there that says clearly what is and what is not allowed. If you can do that, Steve.
Yes, sir.
I know it is in the code, and people used to say, well, it's in the code, they can get on the website, but it's kind of hard for some people to navigate the website at times. As easy as it's set up, it's still kind of hard. And I did attend the lodgers tax meeting last Monday, and one of the big things that came out of the meeting was there was a concern that the letter we approved the last commission meeting to send to the state to request for, readdressing the statute on what lodgers tax can be used for through the lodgers tax board. it was misconstrued as possibly being a bailout to the hotel industry versus anyone else in Aztec. So I just wanted to bring that to the commission, that I did apologize, and we talked it through and explained it at the meeting. They were a little upset that it didn't go before the Lodgers Tax Board before we sent a letter like that. But I explained to them it wasn't us requesting funds or a bailout from the city. All that we were doing was requesting that they look at the statutes to try to loosen up what the lodgers tax, that big pot of money, can be used for. And, for example, going back to some of those hotel businesses. So I just wanted to bring that up before someone else heard anything, or if it has come up. But especially just saying that we need to be very sensitive to the other industries and business owners, just be mindful of them also, because it's very touchy right now. Everyone's in a hard place. And like I said, just the way they perceived it was that the city was bailing out the hotel industry in Aztec, and that no other businesses were going to get any relief, which I explained it's not a relief, it's not a bailout. It's just trying to give us another tool somehow, or ask the state to start on looking at another tool to help an industry that we have funds in that account. So just wanted to bring that up and put that out there before someone else, heard it from somebody else. That is all.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, I attended the Sanborn County Partnership Board meeting, and they have transitioned into a new director. Her name is Anna Krutsky. She seems to have a handle on the organization, and they've created their safe guidelines of working at home, limited number of people in the office, and so forth. They've also been able to tap into some of the funding that the federal government made available, and so that will support their prevention program. So they're all doing well. I attended an MPO technical committee meeting. It was recommended by Mr. Saavedra that might give me some good background before I jump into the policy committee. And it was indeed informative and helpful. And I will be having a policy committee meeting this Thursday. I attended the EDAB meeting for about 45 minutes. And of course, lots of concerns about businesses being affected by the pandemic. And, it's difficult to know what to even do in this situation, but I wasn't there for the full meeting. Sandy Wayburn made the presentation on our piano project, and one piano that has been finished will be moved by Parks and Rec tomorrow to Soaps on Main. So it'll be available for viewing. It's the one that the scenes from the Aztec ruins have been painted on. So if you get downtown, go by there and see that. And Sandy Wayburn is busy painting another one, which is going to be, the children are going to love it. It's colorful. It's going to have Dr. Seuss sayings on it and references to Dr. Seuss. So that's what's going on there. And I started writing a grant proposal to the Connie Gotch Arts Foundation so that we can have continuing funds to keep this project going. And so that's underway. Otherwise, that's about it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just have a quick report. I attended my first ForSed executive board meeting last week. It was more of a reintroduction because I have attended one ForSed meeting in the past. It was, I think, last summer, late spring, maybe. And I was able to kind of get reacquainted with some of the folks. It's quite a large executive board, I'll say. And a large portion of it was, there was a report from the ForSed CEO, Arvin Trujillo, and then everybody kind of gave just a brief report about what's going on, through the coronavirus things as far as their business perspective, some of the stuff from the college and things like that, the hospital, and so on. And I know I think we have another one coming up soon. I don't have the date in front of me right now, so I apologize for that. Next, I also have an ECHO board meeting tomorrow evening at 5:30, so I'll be able to report a little bit more about that at the next commission meeting. And I just want to just kind of congratulate once again our graduating class of 2020. It's been an emotional couple of years, topped off with a very unconventional graduation ceremony. But I just have to say that, and I don't know every one of the seniors. I know a good number of them, just, seeing them around or maybe having them in JROTC at some point in time. And I had probably 8 or 12 that at least started their senior year with us in JROTC. So it was really kind of cool. And they sure are going to have an interesting story to tell their kids about their high school graduation. So if nothing else, they have some unique perspectives to lend as they get older. And I don't doubt for a second that while it's a little bit difficult now, maybe more difficult for some than others, they're very resilient kids, and they're going to come out, as better young adults from this experience and learn how to kind of just keep their chin up and keep plowing ahead. And that's what, I would say they're doing right now. So congratulations to them. And thanks for all the support from the city, from the school district. It was definitely a team effort, and very proud of everybody that took part in that. It was great. So they made it the best that we possibly could for under the circumstances. So to the folks in the city, to the city manager, and to the superintendent, Mr. Carpenter, I tip my hat and thank you again. And I just can't not once again say thank you to the city manager and to every department head. I was on Scott Micklin's show this morning too, and I tried to give a little shout out. So if you see that, look at the end of it. I just want to thank all the department heads and everybody that's still plugging away. And I say it every couple of weeks here, but you can't say it enough. People are doing extraordinary things in very challenging times, and they're really walking that razor's edge of keeping the city services going and also mindful of the budget and all the things that are going with the health order. So thank you so much for everything that everybody's doing. And Mr. Mueller, I appreciate your leadership through all this. And that's all I have. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to see if any department heads would like to make a report. Chief.
Just real quickly, if I could, I just want to echo what you were saying. I thought the graduation went wonderful. From police perspective, went off without a hitch. They were in there. It was fun honoring the graduates. So you're absolutely correct. It's unique, and I think they're going to remember it forever. But from our perspective, it went very well. So thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other department heads unmuting. Mr. Blackburn, you're unmuted. Did you want to?
I just want to mention that we'll reach out to Lacey Phillips and be taking down the posters in the park of the different graduates this year and returning those to her or making them available for the seniors to pick up from us somehow if their families or they want to keep that. And I also wanted to mention that over the weekend, somebody shut off our power in Riverside Park, and if you get a call on the way Riverside Park's looking, we're fixing that problem.
I haven't heard anything yet, but I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Anybody else? I don't see anybody else. So, okay, going once, sold, and meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, folks. Everybody have a great night, and thanks again.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
All right.